REPP 2024, what's up? REPP 2024, what's up? REPP 2024, what's up? Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Scott Dolman!
You ready? Let's go! Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power.
Oh, that was cool. Thanks for that. It is so cool to be here. I am honored to get the invitation to speak today, and so thank you. It is so good to be in a room with all of you. Way to go. Way to make the investment to get here. For me, it just feels like every time I leave the state, it's refreshing for me, my soul, my business. You have to say no to taking a shoot because you're physically not there, and so that's helpful. So way to go on being here. I just trust that I'm going to walk away with so much for my business, and that's going to be true for all of you as well. I want to start by thanking Eli and crew. You have provided so much value and created such a good community that is full of support and allowing so many of us to pursue a dream of owning our own business, so thank you. You practice what you preach. When you talk about the Instagram method, you talk about leading with value. You offer a free shoot to show the quality of your work to earn your business. And you do the same thing on YouTube. I felt like whenever I first learned about real estate photography, I learned everything. I think I watched every video. And so it's awesome that you practice what you preach, and thank you so much for doing that. I think business is inherently competitive, and you've managed to build an incredibly resourceful and supportive community. So when REPP first invited me to speak a few months ago, first off, it was an honor, and I think you had mentioned this before. I haven't told anyone this. This was a goal of mine last year, to get invited to speak. I ended up not coming to the conference. Our son was born Christmas morning, which was incredible. And so it's so cool to be up on the stage to set have you heard of a BHAG before? Big, hairy, audacious goal. That was my BHAG. Hey, I want to speak. And so it's so cool to be up here right now. Now, it would have been great to speak after maybe hitting 10K in 3 months, maybe hitting our first 20K month or hiring a third photographer. Those would have been awesome times and highs to be speaking. But the timing of the invitation to speak and getting prepared to speak was certainly odd. So things were cruising, business was booming. We had just hired our fourth photographer and onboarded our second virtual assistant, and we were ready to smash our previous highs. And as soon as everyone was trained and all systems were go, everything stopped. Orders weren't coming in. It felt like my phone had been disconnected. I wasn't getting emails. Things were quiet. September 2024 was the slowest month that we had in 6 months. And let me tell you about my 4 a.m.s in September. Waking up stressed, mind racing, scared. It was in that slow month that I started preparing what to say today. And let me tell you, that feeling of imposter syndrome was very real. Who am I to be up here? But I'm going to take full advantage of this opportunity to share my story, the highs, the lows, and my goal is to be as transparent as possible and share all of it and hope to provide as much value as possible. It's so easy to feel like I'm defined by my last week's worth of revenue, my last month's worth of revenue, and when you're in a slow season, man, it feels like an eternity. The reality was, it was about 4 weeks. There was a hurricane that had come through. I'd called other photographers and other real estate vendors in the area. They were all experiencing that same slowdown, but man, is it crazy how your mind can play games on you and speak lies. Somewhere along the line, I'd heard this phrase, and it was helpful. When in doubt, zoom out. And the chart on the daily basis will go up and down like this. But when you zoom out and look at those monthly totals or quarterly totals, man, does it smooth out. And so if you can just have that perspective as you're going through a slow season. So slow September was only 2 months ago, and amazingly, in November, we're on track to have our biggest month to date and break the $30,000 barrier. This business is a roller coaster. So how are you doing coming into the conference? Are you coming in high? Are you coming in low? Are you anticipating a slow season? There was an amazing crew of people that were there with me in that slow month, that slow season. And so I just encourage you to get a crew and grow together. A couple years ago, I think that there was something where Rep would kind of organize some group of people, and we talk still to this day, it's been like 2 years, on a daily basis. And that crew has been so incredibly helpful to me and supportive, and so I just echo what you said, Colleen. Find a crew today, and don't leave without a crew that you can learn and grow from. This isn't just the Facebook group or just some other Facebook group. It is get personal and get a crew as you leave today. I wouldn't have hired without Kenny. I wouldn't have done a mini branding session without Colleen. I would not have sped up upload times without Jared. I wouldn't be using Adobe Bridge without Todd, and I wouldn't have a VA without Tyler. So the moral of the story is don't do this alone. Here's a little challenge. I told you to grab a number. I'm going to make it super awkward and easy. Get the number of the person you're sitting beside, to the left and to the right. At some point. You can do it now or you can do it later. I have this bracelet on. It says encouragement, and I think that's the key, having someone to help you when you're down. Wins are motivating when you're winning. Wins can feel debilitating when you're losing. And so get yourself a crew to encourage each other and grow together. Thankful to have that crew around me. Now, when I was down in September, I had a friend. I told him how stressed and burdened and unsure I was. He says, you know what we call people like you? Normal. What do you think? You're going to have no obstacles in your business, that things were just going to constantly grow and be smooth. You're an entrepreneur. It's par for the course. So it's been a wild ride. I'd love to zoom out and share my journey over the last year and a half with you. My story is I didn't know what real estate photography was about 2 years ago. We knew that we wanted to move to a new state, and that was in Florida. We didn't know what work was going to be, but we chose our realtor in Pittsburgh based on the quality of her photos. Didn't know that real estate photography was an industry. But with my marketing background, I just wanted somebody to market our biggest asset well. So whenever her photographer came over, I peppered him with questions, and that's when it set in, I think I can do this. And so learned as much as I could. We moved to Florida March 10th, set my first Instagram DM. I think the next day, my first free shoot was March 27th, and things escalated pretty quickly from there. So that was, March was the first free shoot, May was a 7K month, and June was a 13K month. And I owe that all to the Instagram method. It really helped open the door for me. After 9 months of availability, starting to be 4 or 5 days out, and I was a solo shooter, the only way to grow was to scale. And so at this point, we now have 4 photographers on our team, and I'll tell you a little bit about them a little bit later and about that hiring and training process. And I can also tell you that it is wild that it is working, that a client can order, a photographer can shoot, an editor can edit, a VA can deliver without me. And I don't know if I should admit this or not, it's been 2 weeks since I've looked at anything that's been delivered. And so, all right. I will go in and check on it, but it's no longer this daily stress of if it's perfect. So I used to shoot professional sports, shot for NFL Films, got to be on the sidelines of NFL stadiums, and it was amazing. I just want to share this with you. I got to shoot a Super Bowl, and the shoot at a house that I did on Wednesday, I got paid more at that house than I did shooting the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy. Okay, in my experience, I've seen 3 phases of business. I don't know if these are official, these are my terms, so you can like them or not. What I see is like a solo season, and that might be 0 to 20K. A replacing season, which is, to me, a 20 to 40K. That's maybe where you pick up your first photographer and maybe virtual assistant. And then I think that there's a scaling season, which is 40 plus, where at this point you've been replaced, you have a team, you're in CEO mode, and you're growing. In the beginning, if you're just starting out, you have all the time in the world looking for a shoot, but you have no money. In the replacing season, at this point, you have no time because you're just shooting all the time, but you have money. The goal, though, is to be scaling and have both time and money. I don't think I was anticipating the replacing season. I falsely assumed hiring would immediately lead to scaling, but that wasn't my story. Training took time, getting clients comfortable took time. So I'm still in replacing season, but we'll soon be in scaling season. I just want to give you a little preview of what I'll be speaking about today. I also want to be mindful of our time. So here's a little preview. I'm going to start with what I think went well, what I think I did not do well. I'm going to talk about some traps that can happen along the way, some tips. I'm going to answer some questions from a previous YouTube video that Eli had asked. I'm going to talk specific. I want to try and get in the nitty-gritty about some virtual assistant tasks that are working for me that, if you're wondering what to do with a virtual assistant, might be helpful. Levers that I'm going to be pulling next year, and if we have time, a Q&A. If there's no time, then please feel free to find me at any point. Would love to talk with you. Okay, so what I think went well. Let's talk about hiring and training, because I think that might be a big hurdle and one of the biggest stressors for a lot of people. So I just want to tell you about my process, not that it was perfect or that it's the only way to do it, but here's what worked for me. We started to hire because availability was just too far out, and the only way to grow and scale was to hire. Kenny challenged me. This is a fun story. So our son was born Christmas morning. He was expected to be born in January, and it was around November. I was like, man, I was in coaching. I said, there's like 3 options. I could either just shut down the business, because I want to be home. I want to be home for a couple weeks. Shut down the business. Maybe I can outsource it to somebody, or hire. And I said, truthfully, I don't want to hire. I don't want to go through that right now. I'd rather just shut it down. And he rightfully pushed back and said, if you're willing to take a 0, why not just try and hire? Why not try something? And he said, future Scott will thank current Scott for doing the hard thing now. And here I am, and thank you, because it was absolutely the right call in that moment to hire. So we did about 10 interviews, 10 recorded interviews. The coaches helped me to kind of go through them all. I had only released it on my social media, saying, "Hey, we're hiring," and I wanted some people in my circle, people that I knew. I wanted like a referral into it, and that's how it's worked for me. 3 of the people on our team, we go to the same church, and somebody else who's on our team reached out because she saw our real estate photography business online and was asking for hiring, so she reached out. So that's what worked well for us, is people that we know, like, and trust. So let me tell you a little bit about the employees that we have, because I think it might be helpful to you as you're looking to maybe grow what worked. As Eli and the team have said, I did not pursue professional photographers or professional videographers. I pursued somebody that was going to treat our clients well, show up on time, smile, be willing to learn, and they all did an amazing job. So our first hire, his name is Jared. He's the worship leader at our church. He works there full time, but he's available on Fridays and a few mornings. So he had availability for maybe 4 shoots a week, but at the time, I think I was doing 10 to 12 shoots. So 4 shoots a week is huge to either take over what I'm doing or to add that to the list. And so we brought him on as a W-2 part-time employee. It was very clear the expectations that we're not going to guarantee work, but if it's there, he didn't need the money. He said that, I don't need the money. If I can work, I'd love to try and pay down our mortgage. All right, let's go. So that was hire number 1. Hire number 2, Melissa, she's been staying at home with her kids. She's a family photographer, but just wanted some time to work. She wanted to be able to get out of the house every now and then, but same thing. Didn't need the money, wasn't looking for full-time work, has used a camera before, but is ready to learn. Fantastic. She did not have full-time availability, but those are my first 2 hires, and I'm so thankful that they were our first 2 because it allowed me to learn that training process, and they were tremendous. They're still on the team now. Hire number 3 was Gage. She had reached out. She was a full-time biologist in the swamps of Florida, but she wanted to do photography full-time. She was doing wedding photos on the weekend, and she was doing some family photos, but she wanted something to help bridge the gap Monday through Friday, and perfect. Real estate photography is right up that alley and can help her. And so she was able to walk away from her full-time job in between the weddings that she's shooting and between what she's doing for us. She's able to walk away and make her dream of being a full-time photographer happen. And then our 4th hire came from a referral from Melissa. Rebecca, who's in our church, I had mentioned, hey, I think we're getting close to needing a 4th person. And that referral came in, met with Rebecca, and was like, I've already interviewed several people. I know what I'm looking for. Yes, let's go. And so the last two, Gage and Rebecca, both have more like full-time availability, but I just wanted to share that as a background of like, if you do go to scale, teach their own. For me, I did not want to look for a full-time person or somebody that was a professional photographer. The way I describe our team, good photographers, better people. And you get that all the time from realtors who give you really good feedback on how they've treated the homeowners and treated the realtor, which is awesome. We talked a little bit about part-time. I love the part-time model. Man, to not have the pressure of having to pay somebody a salary when things get slow. I mean, it was very clear in the interview that there could be a day or a week with no shoots, but also, if you're available, great. If not, mark it in Spiro and you're not available. It's like a non-issue. We don't have to talk about sick days, vacations, whatever, just mark it. And if you're available, let's do it. And so I love that approach that I don't have to financially worry about providing for them. It took 3 part-time photographers to replace me, and then with 2 VAs to start to feel like the infrastructure was in place. And with the 4th, it's now time to grow. I think at this point, we can now come close to doubling our revenue with the crew that we have. For a little bit, it was we needed a team to service the clients. Now we have the team. It's time to go get more clients. And so that cost analogy, that's where we are right now. Okay, that was a little bit of the hiring. I'd love to tell you a little bit about the training process. My theory is get him out in the field as soon as possible. And so our 4th photographer, Rebecca, here is how she was trained, and she's doing a great job. We met at a coffee shop where I showed her the camera, some settings. I showed her some houses that I had shot, just to give her an example. I walked through the process of like visualizing when you show up, what you do, how you're greeting the homeowner. If you're asking if they're in a time crunch, you're setting the home. We're talking about all these things. As we're taking the photos or looking at photos, where we are, why we're doing these angles in our process of shooting. So it's a very like 10,000 foot overview of photos. That's all we started with. We didn't do any video at that point. That was the only training that I did with her before she went out on her own. We had to go back. My wife's grandma had passed, and so we flew out of state. But she took that camera, went home, took some photos of her house, not a full shoot, but she got to learn a little bit about how to use the camera, the settings. We reviewed those photos on Zoom, and it was fantastic. She then shadowed Gage 2 times. At that point, I got a model home and said, go shoot. You've learned everything. Just go shoot and make mistakes. You can't call me for questions because I want you to have to figure it out. And we'll talk about it on the back end. But that process of getting reps and having to figure out was really helpful. So she shot the model home, of course, like a toilet seat's up or something's wrong, and great, we'll talk about it. I'm glad you made the mistake now. And at that point, it was time to send her off with a client, and she's been shooting ever since. So my personal training was with her one time, other than reviewing photos on Zoom. But she very quickly went out. So I would just encourage you as you do hire not to, I don't think you need to make it a big, lengthy process. I always felt like if she shadowed me, I could never really coach well because I'm so locked into shooting, and I don't want to take up the time of our agent to do all the training right there. So I think it's better to just set them free and make some mistakes. It allowed me to learn the process of hiring and training without pressure of providing, and allowed them to learn as they go. I really thought that this would be a faster season, similar to the speed of the solo season, but it's been slower than I anticipated. But it's allowed systems to be refined, and we're now ready to rock it into scaling season, and we're in position, like I said, to double our business next year. So that was hiring and training. If you have any specific questions, I don't know if we'll have time at the end or not about that, please let me know. I think we'll do a little Q&A. If not, find me afterwards. Would love to talk to you if you have any questions specifically to that. The next thing in the things that I did well column, this is the Instagram method. So early on, what I wanted to do was send a personal message to everybody. And I wanted to send it only to followers, people that were following me, so I didn't end up in the request folder. And so would include their name on a short video introduction. I think it felt personal to them. It was the same script every time except changing their name. But I think that they got to see a friendly face and that they were open to saying yes. And so the stats were like, I think 380 DMs, Instagram DMs is what I sent. So I didn't have the quantity, but felt like I had the quality DMs that went out. Had a 50% response rate. Now that's yes, no, heart, thumbs up, whatever. But 50% people responded. I thought that was really good. And then it worked out that 1 out of every 10 DMs total ended up taking me up on a shoot. And so that was really helpful. If you're just starting, I would recommend doing that personal message. You may not have the total numbers, but it certainly helped break that barrier for me. I also want to share the free offer is still the best offer. As things were growing, I felt like I couldn't handle more free shoots because shoots were coming in, so I changed my offer to 50% off the first shoot, and then I changed my offer to $50 off the first shoot, neither of which converted better. It felt like in that moment I couldn't do it anyway. Like I didn't want them to convert. I just still wanted the outreach to happen. But we're at a point now that we're going to go back to the free shoots because that's what works best. Provide that value up front, show them the quality of your work, and then you're going to earn their business in the future. I'd love to share now how we're using Instagram and a tool to still maximize Instagram. So it's a Google Chrome extension. If you want to check it out, it's called the IG Exporter tool. So I pay $9.99 a month for it. It's only on Chrome, IG Exporter. But I can put in anybody's Instagram handle and export a spreadsheet of whoever's following them or whoever they're following. And that's really helpful because for me on Instagram, I don't think you can just do that unless you're tracking every day who's following you, and that's way too much work. Now I can just kick out a spreadsheet. And so for me, I'm constantly going through and we'll see who are new accounts that are following us. We'll take that, we'll scrub to make sure they're not photo editors or anyone else, they're realtors in our area. And then we'll send that message to them. So it's helping us stay on track of everything. The other thing is I feel like with the Instagram method, you can get to a point where you feel like you don't have any more realtors to follow. I would challenge you to find more, and I think that you can always find more Instagram followers. So the other way that I've used this IG Exporter tool is to look up other real estate vendors in our area. For example, we have a really good inspection company in our area. I mean, it's the same clientele. They're looking to work with realtors. He even told me to do this to their account. So I took everybody that they're following, 6,000 people, exported that list, and our VA is going through that list, scrubbing it, and if it's a realtor in our area that we're not following, we're now following them, waiting for them to follow back so that we can send them a message. And so that's a tool. Hopefully that's helpful to you. It's a tool that we use. So we've tried a few other acquisition models. Instagram still seems to be the best one for us. Our second shoot ever led to probably our biggest customer. It actually wasn't even that client that we shot for or the brokerage of that client. It was somebody else who said, hey, who took your photos? They mentioned my name, and now we've worked with Fluid Realty for 1.5 years, almost always doing their photos. And so just as a little motivation to continue to send those messages, even if you don't quite see the traction yet, it's there. It's there for you to have. Okay, the third thing that I think went well was just getting my name out there. And so this is a question you really have to answer. Do people know who you are? You could have an amazing business. You could have an amazing free offer. But if people don't know who you are, they don't know that that offer exists. And so you have to answer that question. I had to answer it twice, maybe unfortunately. So April 23rd last year is when I first felt that, like, man, I've been doing the IG method. I just don't know if anyone knows that I exist in Northeast Florida. And then things changed. You saw the traction of the IG method come into play. And so then I had built my business as like an account, just Scott Golmick. But I wanted to transition it to more of a business account, and so maybe this is a mistake along the way, not just changing the name and ditching my personal one. I built a new one, and so I had to answer the same question. Do people know who my business is? And so then that was something in September that even though things were slow, we were consistent with our acquisition, and that allowed us to get our name out there. And so now I'm trying to build a brand that is bigger than me, so that people recognize the real estateographers in Northeast Florida. And so that's our goal now. Best known photographer is better than best photographer. So I think that that's a great goal, just constantly trying to answer the question, how can more people know about you? We also started to collaborate on Instagram posts more, and that started with daily stories. So a lot of times on our Instagram, we'll just use the IG layouts and put 3 of our photos in there. We'll tag the realtor and the broker. That's not necessarily like a post collaboration, but how many times they just share whatever we just posted, and now we're reaching their audience, which is just incredible. So if you're posting, maybe try and do a collaboration. If you're doing it on stories, just being able to tag them and how quickly, it's amazing, just how quickly a brokerage will share your information that their team is now seeing. Let's see here. I'm always looking for excuses to follow up. So different ways that you can ask to follow up is to ask for a review, maybe hosting a branding mini session and just telling them, I mean, the win isn't even necessarily taking the pictures. You're telling them, hey, I'm providing a new service, and hello, here I am. And that's the goal, just to constantly make sure that people know who you are. Maybe giving them a referral code. It's just like, how many touch points can you get in front of them without asking about, hey, do you have any listings coming up? Maybe offering a discount. We do this for any client that we haven't worked with in 90 plus days, reaching out to them. We just had our first newsletter. Todd, that was exciting. Our first newsletter went out. Our VA worked on that, and so that's exciting as another touch point. And then I'm starting to try and lead some workshops. And so again, answer the question, do people know who you are? We just had our VA review our Instagram account and just kind of track what had the most engagement, what were the best posts, which ones didn't get as much engagement, just so that we can course correct and keep posting what's working. So that's another way just to make sure that you're getting your name out there. I don't know if anyone here has worked with real producers. That has been a very helpful thing for me. It's like social proof. In case you don't know, Real Producers is like a franchise magazine in almost every region, where they highlight the top 500 or so agents. And so we got connected with them through the Instagram method. So again, another win for the Instagram method. They said, hey, would you mind taking photos for our magazine? Great, let's do it. And so we take photos, we get to go to the events. And it's not just straight networking every time. I think I just end up being the tall, smiley guy with a camera, but it allows me to be known at the event. And so that's just another way that we've gotten known. If you haven't gotten connected with Real Producers, that might be a fun one to reach out to. I do want to mention a client who orders the least and always has the most corrections to make. And so it's like not super fun to work with, but we went through a phase, just another touch point, reaching out to some clients. Hey, is there an opportunity? Could you connect me with, your broker or office manager? I want to see if there's an opportunity to sponsor a meeting, come in for breakfast or something like that. He says yes. And he was the best networker I've ever seen. He literally called people over from across the room. Hey, you need to come over here and meet Scott Golmick. He's a great photographer in the area. And so there's something in there about, like, be careful with how you're treating clients, even those ones, obviously you got to stand up for yourself a little bit. But he turned out to be a great one, and another reason to just get yourself known as much as possible. The last thing that I think about getting yourself known is excellent video, and I think you're going to see that. You already have seen that. I mean, Mike and Kevin, you guys are insane with your video, and I think if you're looking to get known quickly, you can also follow that model. Okay, that was what I did well. Here's what I did not do well. I did not do a great job of creating boundaries. In fact, I kind of suck at it. I'm a people pleaser by nature, and so I want to make sure that clients are taken care of. I do think that helped us grow quickly. But I don't want to build a business at the expense of family. So I'm saying that to you now, and for me to hear, like, all right, I need to find a better balance, having a day that starts and ends and isn't an emergency every time a client reaches out. Something else I did not do well is not celebrating. Man, I'm just always moving the goalposts, like you want the 10K a month, you get there and you're like, actually, that's nothing, I want to get the next one. And then you get that next one, and then I just keep moving the goalposts further and back. And so again, I don't have any solutions for you. If you have any for me, that'd be awesome. But something I did not do well was I didn't celebrate. Man, there's some amazing milestones along the way. And so I want to do better at this. Hopefully this is something for you on your path to just make sure that you take time and celebrate how quickly you can grow in this business. Something else I wish I would have done better, and I'm not quite sure if I would do it differently, but it's been a lot of work. I was very strategic. I wanted to start my business with my name. I think people want to do business with people, not businesses. And so my account was Scott Golmick. And that account grew, and that was awesome. But then when I wanted to start my business account, it was like I was starting back over. I still wanted to have the personal one. I wanted to then have a business, and it kind of like started over. So I don't know, other than just saying, I don't know that I nailed that process. Maybe you want to think about how you're growing your Instagram presence, if you want to do it under a personal name or a business. And the last thing that I feel like I did not do well, I wish in retrospect I would have hired a VA before hiring a photographer, personally, because then I could get rid of the task of delivery and allow me to max as a solo operator. So I think if you're close and you're thinking, oh, I need to scale, and you don't have a virtual assistant, I mean, Tyler called me out, so appreciate it. But it was super helpful. He's like, you don't have a VA yet. And I was hiring photographers and delivering their stuff in the morning while trying to shoot. And I think Jared, somewhere along the way, said, like, don't deliver for a week. Have someone else do it and see if you want to do it again. And man, did that change everything. So I haven't had to deliver anything for a long time, but I wish sequentially I would have hired a VA before I hired a photographer, again, so I could max out myself shooting first. Okay, that's what I did not do well. Traps at each level. Here are some traps that I see just with having been in coaching. If you're sitting on the sidelines and you're waiting to start, I think that that's a trap. I think if you're considering a change and you want to make a change, I mean, today's a great day to get started. And so not to wait any longer on the sidelines. I think another trap is worrying about competition. There's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it's pretty sweet. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. That's what you do when you start worrying about competition. Eli, you do such a good job of getting everyone to want to do real estate photography. Things are going to continue to get more saturated, but man, if you just do your job well, you have availability, you deliver on time, you smile, you do a good product, I really don't think that you have to worry about competition because there's enough piece of the pie out there for everybody to eat. Another trap, I think, is waiting for perfection. Like you're just waiting, you're indecisive, you don't know what to do. My perspective and mentality is I would much rather make a decision and then course correct along the way instead of sit back and not sure. I'd rather take action. And so that's, I think, another trap, is, waiting to make a decision. Another trap is worrying about losing a client. In Nashville, I was telling Eli how I just had my first client fire me. And it really stung. I was batting 1,000 up until that point, and then got fired. And immediately he said, "Good, go find 3 more." And it just like rocked my world. Like, wait, that's not good. I lost a client. And he said, "What if you just considered that as a requirement? It's part of business. You're not going to bat 1,000. You're going to lose clients, and that's okay. Go find 3 more." And so again, that's a trap to to live in fear of losing a client. Worrying about every detail in a photo. Man, I've gone back to the photos that we first delivered. They're not great, but nobody said anything, and it seemed to work. And we've gotten better along the way. And so I think early on, you want it to be perfect. And again, it's just like, send it. That was a big thing I had to learn. Just send it. And that's something that you can do. Another trap is thinking that shooting is good once you're above 20,000. This is another thing that Eli said. He said, shoots are bad at this stage of business because you should be in CEO mode, not shooting mode. Every time you take a shoot, you're actually losing money, opportunity cost because you're not out there getting more clients for your team to grow. And so that's another trap and something I'm still working on. And then the last trap that I have written down here is thinking that clients only want you to shoot. I feel like that can be a point that a lot of people don't want to hire because they're afraid of what clients will say. On the other side of it, it's surprising that it's not that many really say something. And the ones that do, if they're great clients at this point, I'm still happy to go shoot it. At some point, that will change, but it has not happened that often. The majority are like, hey, you're growing. That is awesome. We fully support it. Whoever you want to send, we trust that you've trained them up well. And so it really has been kind of like a non-issue. All right, here are some tips. We had some traps. Here are some tips. If you're in coaching, do everything they say as fast as you can. I don't quite understand the mentality of pushing back to the coaches. If you're going to invest the money into coaching, whatever amount of time that you're with them, go. They have the most incredible experience. They've worked with so many people. I would just implement everything they say. That's what I did. Oh, you want me to stop shooting? Okay, that night took my name off the list to stop shooting. Do everything that they say as fast as you can. I think that it's really going to help you grow your business. Something else, a tip I think that we did well is asking for referrals. Recently we did another push. I think we're up to 86 5-star reviews. But this is a little method that I heard actually from Bronson. And he said there's a little formula. It's a favor, a goal, and a deadline. And so, hey, Colleen, can I ask you a favor? I'm trying to get 100 5-star reviews by December. Would you be willing to write a review for me? I mean, everybody wants to help. They want to help a small business, and that little one line, people respond right away. And so I think we got like 30 or 40 reviews in the last month because it's that simple. Hey, the favor goal deadline. Could you do me a favor? I'd like to get 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. We're at 84. We'll see if we get it by the end of the year. I think we will. Okay, another tip is ManyChat. I don't know if all of you are familiar with it. If you follow Eli's stuff, whenever you comment workshop, it's ManyChat that's sending you that link. I started implementing this in brokerage presentations, and it's been pretty cool. So if you guys want to play along, you can do it now. If you want to open up your Instagram account and follow me, if you're not already following, it's The Real Estateographers. So just if you're a photographer, videographer, called The Real Estateographers. If you want to go ahead and follow us now, here's how it's set up. If you click on our stories up top, I don't know at this point if it's like a shot of the Vegas sunset or whatever it is, or 3 houses or 3 shots of a house. Whenever you see that story, you can send a message in the bottom. And if you just type REPP, R-E-P-P in there, you'll get a test of what clients would get at a brokerage presentation. If it works, and if you commented on the story, not the post, I didn't set it up for the post, but you could, it will kick back with a, yeah. Yeah, it's The Real Estate, all one word. And then Ographers, O-G-R-A-P-H-E-R-S. It should be like a little white circle with a drone pin kind of thing. If you don't see it, find me afterwards. We'll get you connected. If that worked, you should have immediately gotten a response from me, awesome, that says, hey, here's a link to a free offer, a free shoot offer. And so at this point, it's so much better in my mind than a business card, because now they're connected to your social. They're now following you. They're going to see all of your new content. Whenever they have a shoot, they're like, wait a second, that guy messaged me. They don't have to find a business card. They just go back to the Instagram message, and they can then pull that link right up, and it automatically applies. So every time I do a brokerage presentation, I walk out with like 20 new followers and messages, and it's an immediate interaction. So that's something that I think is pretty cool if you wanted to give that a shot. If you haven't used Loom, L-O-O-M, my goodness, it is a fantastic way to record yourself doing tasks. And so as I train photographers and virtual assistants, if I'm training a photographer, I'll review some photos. It shows me, just like screen records, and immediately creates a link. And so in the time it takes to review photos in 3 minutes, I then send off the link and it's done. Or, hey, here's a new task for our virtual assistant. I do the task, send it to him. Now he can save it and use it forever. So Loom, L-O-O-M, has been very helpful. I'm going to fly through just a few more. Imogen.ai is something that I use for headshots. We have started to do more headshots because of Jack's Real Producers, but also other opportunities. This is an AI editor. I think I paid 10 cents a photo that straightens the image, color corrects the image, smooths the skin, and subject masks it. There's some other things you can have it do, like auto crop. I haven't quite felt comfortable doing that yet. But it's an incredible piece of software. So if you're starting to do headshots, this is a way that you can do like a ton and edit it. It comes back in like 5 or 10 minutes, and then I just send them off, and they're, oh, this looks great. If you're a professional headshot artist, it's probably not perfect. Yeah, it's Imogen, IMAGEN.AI. That's what we use. Clients always say that it looked great. You can choose a profile. I choose crisp and clean, or clear and crisp, or something like that. And it works out really well. If you've already edited thousands of photos on your own and you have a style, you can upload those 1,000 photos. It'll study your style, and then you can use that too. So hopefully that's another task that you can use. Another thing that I highly recommend, if you have not read the book Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, that was super impactful. A lot of things that Eli had coached me during coaching to do is in there. If you have not done a time audit yet before, man, that is a game changer to see how much time you're wasting or spending on tasks that you should not be doing. This is a quote from the book. Most entrepreneurs think that a profitable business sprouts from hard work. That may be true, but a thriving empire only comes when a leader learns how to buy back their time. So the idea is you audit how you're spending your time. You then consider how you can transfer that task to somebody else and how you can fill in a higher leverage activity. And that's just a constant cycle. You get through that next cycle, great. Now I'm going to audit, I'm going to outsource, I'm going to fill it with something else, and you just keep growing. So I'd encourage you to check that out. I think I was asked to give 45 minutes, and we have 6 minutes left, so I think we're right on track. I got to do a YouTube live with Eli maybe like a month or two ago, and there were a few questions. I watched it back. I felt like I didn't quite answer, so I'd like to answer them now very quickly. He said, what have been the biggest pivot moments in your business? And this is what I came up with now. 10K, that first 10K is a huge milestone. And so I think that was the first one, like, oh, it's working. This is cool. All right, we got some business rolling. That was the first kind of pivot moment. The next pivot moment that was so huge was not delivering media anymore. And that was with our first virtual assistant, a huge pivot point. Another pivot point along the way was getting out-revenued by a photographer on our team. And I was like, holy cow. I think I shot like $500, and just how the schedule worked out, Jared shot $1,000. He just out-revenued me today, and I was like, whoa, this hiring thing is now working too. That's another pivot point along the way. The last two pivot points are shoots are bad. I'm still working my way through that one. I trust it, I believe it, and I'm working on it. I had stopped shooting for a little season, then after slow September, I was like, if you want to shoot, I will say yes, because that's where we are right now. So the pendulum swung from not shooting to like shooting a ton, and I needed to land somewhere here in the middle again. And then the last one I think is going to be what we hit this month, our first 30,000 month. Yes, what is the most exciting moment for you? And this is a really cool thing. Last year with Real Producers, they had an end-of-the-year party. And they didn't tell me this, but they made me a sponsor of the event because I exchange the photos for their magazine so that I don't have to pay to advertise. It's kind of costly to advertise with Real Producers, but it's been an exchange. And as a thank you, they put our company name up on the Jacksonville Jaguars Jumbotron and whatever. In and of itself, it's like, all right, cool, it's a picture on a screen. However, it was just like, man, that was a long season of hard work, and what an awesome reward to like see that up there. It's so kind that they did that, and that was just, I don't know, it was an emotional trying point, but it was emotional enough to be like, that's awesome to see it, and so that was one of the most exciting moments so far of the last year and a half. Any lessons I've learned along the way is to zoom out and enjoy the journey. Don't let business be all-consuming. In the nicest way possible, I kind of want it to be a job, you know, something that I can end at the end of the day and pick up on the next one. And I feel like when I say that, it could have a negative connotation, like, don't get me wrong, I'm ready to work, I'm ready to grind, I'm ready to do what it takes. I'd also love to do all of those things and then wrap it up and enjoy family and not worry about every client call that comes in. Most concerning for a 50,000 a month business. Right now, I think it would be just managing quality control and on-time delivery. And then future goals, my future goal is to leave for a month like Bronson and Colleen and Tim have and just, I don't know, I think it's Jared's words, let it burn, you know, see what happens, what you need to fix along the way. And so I'd love for next year to just be a month of not being part of the business and see what happens. All right, we're going to rapid fire through some virtual assistant tasks. So maybe if any of these are exciting, you can write them down. Otherwise, you can watch it back or send me a message. Okay, so Jim, he's our virtual assistant who does 32 hours a week for us at $7 an hour. His priority is quality control and delivery of all media through Spiro. He works from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. our time. He also handles edit requests, lot lines, and touch-ups. I think he's a former, real estate photo editor, so kind of hit the jackpot again. Tyler, thank you. That's amazing. I mean, come on. So he's tremendous. That's part of Jim's role for me. He finds new accounts to follow based on that IG exporter. He sends the IG method video that I have currently. It's not personal right now, just so that we can constantly have acquisition happening in the background. That might change back to more personal, but for right now, he's sending the video and the message out. He finds houses on homes.com. This is kind of like the outbound method. I know that I just need to pick up the phone and do it, but it happened enough times that I didn't just call the people that it wasn't happening. So my solution so far is he finds them on homes.com. I prefer that more than Zillow because you can put in a drive time, and you can also search by it's been on the market more than 14 days. And I don't think on Zillow you can do it. It's just like under 90. And I want more than, because we were finding ones that had bad photos and 2 days later it had great photos. So it just allowed us to refine our search. And then he's sending an email out to people just as like a cold email. And we've had some people hit on that. He documents photo editors' mistakes so that I can get detailed feedback to them. He builds an ongoing invoice each day of how many photos, floor plans, videos we do so that I can confirm that with the invoices that I get from them at the end of the month. He monitors my email in the evening for, it's like 6 hours. I pay him for 2 hours because most of the time I'm not getting an email, but that's my solution right now to buy back my time. And he's sending review requests. At this point, every client that we've shot with has gotten a review request, and right now he's only sending them to new clients about a week after we've delivered their media. Same kind of thing, asking them for a favor. And he also texts clients that we haven't worked with in 90 plus days with an offer. Our other virtual assistant, Quenny, 20 hours a week, $7 an hour. Her priority is social media. She creates those story layouts that I talked about. She just picks 3 photos, and it's on the Instagram story layouts. I like that because then it doesn't jam up our Instagram profile with just a ton of houses. I feel like that's less engagement. It's still important, but not all the time. So we use stories almost every day, and she does that. Creates story layouts, drafts posts. She engages with other posts. She manages my inbox during the day and separates emails into folders. She recently completed a market research project to track competition pricing just to make sure that we're in the right ballpark and where we want to be. She creates a list of every office in the 3 counties that we service and sent a cold email and introduction offer to them. Again, no doubt it would be better with a phone call, but it wasn't happening. So ready to just get something going with an email. She did a newsletter for us. She's sending client care emails for us 2 days after delivery. In that email, want to make sure that everything was good to go. Also, if you don't know, every property comes with a single property website. If you'd like to learn more about it, I recorded 3 training videos similar to what Norman & Young has, and that link is in there. So they're constantly seeing how to download. Like if they have questions, they can click on that link, and it saves it from coming to us. So that goes out every 2 days. And then she just recently, like I said, track engagement on our Instagram post. Okay. That was my official 45-minute timer. If you don't mind, I have like 2 more minutes, and we can wrap it up. Okay, levers that I plan on pulling next year. Builders and contractors. I haven't touched that market, but I'm going to be reaching out to them, seeing if there's any progress photos, progress videos, model home shoots. I mean, we've been so focused on realtors that we haven't touched that market, and that's something that we're going to go hard on this coming year. Events, Warren. You're like the event king. I'm going to go to as many events as I can. When I was by myself, it just felt like I don't know when I have the time to do this, but that's what I want to do. I want to shoot less so that people can know me, like be that best known photographer. So I'm going to go to as many events as possible. I mean, you need a photographer to shoot your Christmas party. I'm there. Let's get it done. So that's something I'm going to do. We're going to start doing the mini branding sessions. We've done 1 so far, but plan to do at least quarterly. The goal next year is to get our first solid broker deal. I haven't quite pursued it yet. I felt like we couldn't fulfill it properly, but now with a team of 4, I think that we can fulfill it. So pursuing the Todd broker deal method, I'll be taking notes tomorrow whenever he's speaking. And then just being transparent with you, I am at a crossroads with video, and I'm not sure what to do, and maybe at the end of this conference I'll know more. I think that there's 2 methods, like incredible quality video here, and then also like, let's use our iPhone and it's good enough here. And so I'm not quite sure if we're gonna go volume or if we're gonna go luxury. Maybe there's a way to do both. Part of me is concerned, I hate like the decision fatigue of having to explain every video option. So I'd love to just keep it simple and pick one or the other. That's just being transparent on where we're at in our business. If I had to boil this whole thing down into 30 seconds, start now, move as fast as you can. If you feel stuck, make a decision and course correct if necessary. Maximize every role by yourself before hiring so you know what you want. Maximize your role as a photographer, as a delivery of media, as social media. That way you know what you can hire out. Get together with a small group and grow together and encourage each other. Make sure potential clients know who you are and that you exist. Consistently do a time audit and outsource tasks. Prioritize profit. Stop worrying and enjoy the roller coaster ride. When in doubt, zoom out. So when I zoom out, I think of guys like Todd and Eli who've been doing real estate media much longer than most of us here in this room. So thank you for paving the way for us and helping cast vision for the future. What has been possible in my first 18 months in this industry has been incredible to have that opportunity to grow, and it's so much fun to think about what the next 18 months could hold. So if you can, just like, let's take 30 seconds. Close your eyes. Imagine that you're in that movie theater. You're looking at the screen. You're seeing yourself a year from now. what do you see? I mean, is it a revenue goal? Are you hiring your first, or you want to have a team of 2 or 3? I trust at this point something has popped up, and I would also trust to just write that down and work towards that, and maybe that's something that we can celebrate next year at the REPP conference. I love casting vision and just thinking about long term. It helps so much whenever you're dealing with the day-to-day nitty-gritty. Real estate photography is really an incredible industry with unbelievable potential to grow quickly, right? The 3 R's, it's like required to use nice photos, the referral part of the business, the repeat business. So it's a great industry to be in. We've tried other businesses, and this by far is the best one. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and share how we went from $0 to 3 photographers in a year. And thank you, Eli and team, for helping just so many of us start our own business and provide for our family. So appreciate it. Thank you.